Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nello Reads channel. Our first malicious compliance story of the day comes from Ancient Educator 76. You need to be communicating more clearly with your parents. I don't want to see this kid in my office until you've done so. Time for some teacher double malicious compliance. This happened at the height of the TikTok challenge, but the fruition of malicious compliance has finally reared its beautiful head. So, back when, soap dispensers all over the world were on high alert due to students stealing them or destroying them in the process. The teachers at my school were directed to monitor the bathrooms. First off, I think that is a disgusting practice, especially when our admin says, "You need to go inside that restroom and get them out of there." Gross. We have a security guard for that, and even a school resource officer, SRO, but nope, it's on us now. Add it to the ever-increasing pile of things I never thought I'd have to do as a teacher. The boys' upstairs restroom is directly across the hall from my room. Most people could spread their arms and touch both the door to my room and this bathroom simultaneously, with their palms. I hear a sound, a very distinct sound that, thanks to TikTok, I've been required to learn to listen for. The loud snapping of the back of a soap dispenser that someone is trying to pry off the wall. It's very distinct, and I heard it well from my classroom door, just as I was about to prop it open mid-class. I open the restroom door and walk inside, while my body holds the door open. I see three boys. One is doing a stupid dance while rotating in a circle in place. One is standing on a toilet inside a stall, phone up and recording, presumably, and one staring at the mirror. The first two boys see me and change their behavior. One student doesn't seem to see me and reaches forward with his fingers clawed open, prying at the back of the soap dispenser. This happened multiple times in the span of about 2 seconds, and it was clear what he was doing. I finally couldn't take how long it had been since I've had this door open and cleared my throat. He looks at me, pretends to have only been washing his hands the whole time, and stands there. I tell them they need to move along. Two boys listen. Dispenser boy decides to make this a point of contention, saying, "No, I don't think I will." It's at this point I decide to be out and report what he was doing to admin. If this was Today I Effed Up, this would have been the effed up one. I tell EJ, a great security guy who can't be everywhere at once, you know, displacement theory, what's going on, and he gets Dispenser boy, who we'll call Dweeb, out of the restroom and sends him to the office. Upon request, I email administration exactly what happened, in about as much painful details as the aforementioned paragraphs would indicate. And this should be it, right? Nope. Dad doesn't believe his precious little dweeb could or would do something like this. And he pressed the issue because dweeb was 100% denying it. Middle school kid denying something? Nah, doesn't sound like a middle schooler. I will say I have the utmost respect for kids, and excuse their behavior before adults. Adults should know better. But this began wasting a lot of my time. All of the sudden, I'm now required to sit down alongside administration just to have a makeshift conference call with the dweeb's dad. I already emailed the details, spoke on the phone with admin about this, then in person to confirm it, accompanied by me stating exactly where and how the student stood, how they attempted to remove the soap dispenser, etc. I had to mime this because the dad didn't believe that this is what his son was doing. So why the flip am I in this meeting? What's there to discuss? Oh, the father doesn't believe his son would do something like this and due process and all that? Due process doesn't mean that you get to demand my presence like some sort of underpaid genie. Like, I have to perform and reenact the scenario in a convincing enough way so dad will finally believe it. Yet, here I was, sitting in my admin's office while she dialed the father's number on speakerphone. Here's what she said. "Hi, Mr. Asfart. This is Mrs. Bibble from Floppy Middle School. I'm here with OP, and he has confirmed that your child was definitely attempting to remove the soap dispenser, and not just trying to get soap." I understand how this could be a misunderstanding. She said some more typical admin things, but then turned to me, her face changing from hard to interpret to very easy to interpret, and said, "You really need to start communicating clearly with your parents. I don't want to see any kid in my office until after you've done so. This could have been easy if you had done this." I see your point, and see why I needed to be scolded. That's probably what my face said. But deep down, I was shocked. I have no idea how I could have prevented an issue with his parent. I did everything according to protocol. Had EJ pull the tape to confirm times, all that jazz. I thought she was going to be apologetic about the situation, saying, "I'm sorry, I know your word means something, and you saw this firsthand. I even have a statement from another student that was there saying that he was trying to take it down." She did. "So I shouldn't have called you here on your prep just so Dweeb's dad could talk to you and ask you himself." You know, something like that. I decided right then that I was going to have a malicious compliance moment. I just wasn't sure when. I had forgotten about this for months. Now, then, all of a sudden, I get my opportunity. Good old Dweeb is at it again. This time throwing things at a female student running away from him in the hall, ending with him slapping her in the behind and then groping it. Imagine him making a duckbill with his hands. It was like that. She was not a willing participant in this. Enter malicious compliance. I remember what admin said about sending a very clear email to parents, and to do so before I send a kid to the office. So I have Dweeb wait in the hall rather than send him down. Then ask my colleague to stand in the hallway to monitor so I can stop my class's instruction to write an email to a parent. I needed to send an email first, right? Here's the email. Team B. I always use team and last name. I was at my propped open classroom door, ready to close it as 7th grade lunch students passed, when I saw Dweeb chasing a female student through the halls, eventually hitting her on her backside. By backside, I mean a very inappropriate location to hit someone. He also used a grabbing/pinching motion to grasp her backside. Right around this time, Officer Platinum popped his head into my class asking, "What's up with this guy?" pointing at Dweeb. I told him, and he said, "No need to call the office. I'll handle it from here." I continued my email. I had intended on sending Dweeb to the office, but was instructed to be more clear in my communication. So I wanted to send this email before sending him down. Also, a requirement I've been advised to adhere to after our last communication. Our school resource officer happened to swing by, so it appears that the office visit may not be happening just yet. If there is anything you need, don't hesitate to ask or reply to this email. OP. I lost track of what happened after this. I immediately returned to teaching after Officer took Dweeb off my hands. But I know videotape was used, interviews with many students were used, and Dweeb won't be on campus the rest of the school year. I'm not sure if he officially got arrested, but everyone was talking about how Dweeb left in a cop car. I've gotta say, I hope this is a real wake-up call for this kid. Leaving in a cop car is pretty insane, and I know if I were him, I'd be losing my mind, probably reevaluating everything I'd ever done in life. Our next story comes from Crummy Nubs. Cheapskate argues over $2.75 iced tea that they didn't like on the bill, so I happily switched it out for the $3 soda they ordered instead. Some people are particular about their iced teas. Ours has a tropical flavor, which this woman didn't care for. "Can I get a diet soda instead?" Not a problem. Trying to hunt down a manager to void out an iced tea for a soda isn't worth the effort, especially for a negligible 25-cent difference between beverages, so I just let it ride. When the check arrived, the party spent a good deal of time poring over how to split the bill. My manager had swung by to run their cards, and they apparently gave him the same lecture about how we should just have regular black iced tea and said I forgot to take it off the bill. When he voided it off and checked with me, I told him, "Oh, that's right," and they switched it to a soda, and rang it in. He just shrugged his shoulders like his time had just been wasted. I figured the table was either being cheapskates or dumb, so I happily dropped off the new bill and said, "So, we took off the iced tea and corrected it with her Diet Coke." The guy took another 10 minutes staring at the bill and probably felt like the biggest ignoramus. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the guy at the table genuinely did not realize that his soda wasn't on the original bill and was instead sort of replaced by the iced tea, because this sounds like something I might do completely on accident. I know I would feel like an ignoramus for it. Actually, I do right now because I didn't even know how to pronounce that word until I looked it up before reading the story. Our next story comes from Bald Goddess. Eye doctor. I've been wearing glasses since I was 9 years old, nearsighted, and my eyesight deteriorated pretty steadily until my late teens. When I was 13, I went to see a new eye doctor who opened up shop in the same medical center as the dentist my mom worked for. When I was asked by the eye doctor to read the eye chart without my glasses, I told him that I couldn't see anything other than the top 2 lines. Everything else was gray blurs, which was true. He told me to just try the 3rd line. So I took a breath and guessed every single letter. He turned on the lights and said I had done pretty good for a girl. Now, I don't know how he was expecting me to react with that comment, but I have always had a tendency to give people who have made me angry the bare minimum they ask for. If you don't specifically tell me to do something, you are not going to get the result you are wanting, and that is what happened next. For everyone who has ever had to have eye exams for corrective lenses, I am sure you are familiar with the test where you are given the same image in front of each eye, and you are supposed to tell the eye doctor when the 2 images merge. Well, he told me to let him know when the images merged, and then he started turning dials to make the images come closer together. I sat there, seething, watching the images come closer together before they disappeared rather than merge. I never told him when they disappeared. I mean, he specifically said to tell him when the 2 images became 1. And I'm just a teenage girl, so who am I to know that the images won't magically reappear and become 1 image, right? After several minutes of him clicking dials with no response from me, the doctor stopped and asked me if the images had come together yet. I very innocently asked him, what images? The images were gone. He got very exasperated and asked me what I meant. I told him the images had disappeared before they became 1 image. I can still hear the sigh he made when I remember this event. He reset everything and told me to tell him the minute the images disappeared. I complied, and afterwards, when I was walking out of the eye doctor's office with my mom and a referral to a specialist, my mom asked me what happened because the eye doctor had made some comments to her about my attitude. I told her what happened and she was not happy. However, he was a friend of her boss, so she couldn't complain directly to him, so she decided to not take me back, but instead congratulated me for how I handled the situation. How can this eye doctor go, "You did pretty good for a girl," and then not expect her to be upset at that? Like, it's pretty reasonable to not like to be talked to like that. Honestly, I think someone needs to scold him for his attitude. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and I'll see you next time.